Welcome to Round 5 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of June 20th. I'm Catherine Haleko, and I'm here with Terry Morrow.
Hello.
Today we're taking a break from talking and complaining and obsessing, and instead shouting out things other people are doing that we think you'll find as useful or enjoyable as we do. We call this our Roundabout Roundup, and I'm going to mention the 2 movies I watched on airplanes recently.
Catherine watched movies.
I watched movies.
Woo!
I flew on an airplane. 2 of them. 4 of them. So I forget that when you go on a plane, you have the seat back TV entertainment. I bring stuff to read and stuff to do, and then I'm like, oh, I could just watch a movie or a TV show or whatever. But, everyone can see what you're watching when you're on a plane. So
yeah.
It's a little like there's certain... I watched one time, and it had this somewhat graphic sex scene in it, and I was like, oh, fast forward. So it's a little hard for me to choose, because there's certain things that I'm like, I don't know if I feel comfortable watching that with all these other people around, including my child sitting next to me. So anyway, I found 2 that worked pretty well for this. The first one was Death on the Nile, so the Agatha Christie, fairly recent, I think. I don't know when it came out, but it's Kenneth Branagh. So, following up, he was the one who did Murder on the Orient Express, right? So here he is again, playing Hercule Poirot.
Yes.
In Death on the Nile, and it was just much like Murder on the Orient Express, just kind of silly, and even though people kept dying, there was a lot of death on the Nile. It wasn't just one. It wasn't just one. Yeah. But it's like got this. It has a great cast. It's Branagh and Gal Gadot. I don't know how you say her name. Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot.
Right.
And Annette Bening is in it,
wow.
And a bunch of people. So
that's the fun of those Agatha Christie movies is they have just like a grab bag of recognizable actors.
Yeah. It was really fun for that.
Going through a very
reason.
clockwork plot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Death on the Nile was my favorite Agatha Christie back at the time where I read all the Agatha Christies.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good plot.
Yeah.
I don't know about the movie, and the movie sounds like good for an airplane.
Yes, it was absolutely good for that purpose. And then the other one that I watched was House of Gucci. So this is the Lady Gaga and Adam Driver as the married couple.
You weren't a little embarrassed to watch that on a plane?
Well, I figured it was a fairly popular movie, right?
Yeah, it was.
And it did have a sex scene in it, but it wasn't as bad as the one in the other movie that And it was...
They should have like a movie rating on these things.
Well, they used to edit them for airplanes.
They did. I remember that.
They
yes.
don't do that
and they
anymore.
don't anymore because it's right in front of you. But it needs to be like... okay to watch if your kid's next to you.
Right.
Okay to watch if your husband's next to you. Okay to watch if a stranger's next to you. And, okay to watch if a judgy little old lady is next to you.
Right. So...
We need that info.
Yeah, we need... I maybe would have watched this anyway, even if I knew it. Yeah. Because it didn't last very long. And...
Fast forward button.
Yeah, they have it. You can fast forward.
There you go.
Yeah. So
look over there, hon. Fast forward.
So this movie was really not very good. I gotta say, first of all, they had Adam Driver and especially Jared Leto, who was just, made so much like makeup and prosthetics. He's completely unrecognizable. And both him and Adam Driver had just terrible Italian accents. And, why are we bothering? Everyone, they're speaking English. They're not, and we all know that they're not Italian. They're not Meryl Streep. It did not work at all. Like Gaga kind of got away with it. Yeah. But the rest of them, no, absolutely not. It was really bad. And like the plot was sort of weird. Like, I don't know. It ended, to my mind, very abruptly. Like, I can't really say what happened. It's very spoilery, but it just, I was like, oh, that's the end. Like, we're done here. Okay. All right. It just didn't hang together as a story in any way. But it was fun watching Lady Gaga just be Lady Gaga, being like this, sort of middle class woman who worked at her dad's trucking company and then rose to become, then she meets Gucci and she marries him and he inherits the fashion company. Oh, Jeremy Irons was in it too. Inherits the fashion company and, how she transforms into like this very wealthy person. So she was fun, but the rest of it, oh.
But still good for filling the time on an airplane.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So that has been your airplane movie review for this week. Okay. And what are you going to share?
Well, I think a number of weeks ago, we did an episode that was inspired by the release of the book Glad You're Here by Walker Hayes and Craig Allen Cooper, which was in turn sort of inspired by a Walker Hayes song in which he describes a situation in which Craig gave his family a car when they needed it. Mm-hmm. And this book, I mean, Walker Hayes has come into some recent great success with Fancy Like and the songs that have come after it. I could not be more thrilled for him. And I noticed when he was doing things like going to be on Jimmy Fallon for the first time or having big career milestones suddenly because of the success of this song, he brought Craig and his wife with him. And I thought that was so cool that they were friends. And then they put out this book. It's Glad You're Here, Two Unlikely Friends, Breaking Bread and Fences. And it sort of goes back and forth between both of their stories of Walker struggling to, have success in country music and struggling with alcohol and some personal tragedy. And then Craig writing about, he's a minister, but he had some struggles with ministry and some career problems and just some struggles with faith when various things were happening. And how their two stories kind of meshed together and how they were able to help each other. I don't know how meaningful the book would be for you if you are not a Walker Hayes fan, but I think that you could enjoy it. If you are not a person of faith, you may find parts of it boring, but you know what? Maybe you could use to hear them. So I would recommend this for anybody. It's a very enjoyable story, very well told, and also something that I appreciate these days. Pretty short. I listened to the audiobook. I have not seen the physical book, but I listened to the audiobook and it was 4 hours and 20 minutes. For comparison, I have been listening to the audiobook of The Tender Bar, which we watched the movie of. Mm-hmm. It is 16 hours and 16 minutes.
Right.
So 4 times this. I've been listening to Tender Bar and I keep thinking, well, we should be getting close to the end. And I look and there's, 10 hours left.
Right.
So if you want a book that you can listen to the whole thing. It's narrated by the authors. They do a great job. You can listen to the whole thing. You can get a little bit of inspiration. You can hear 2 interesting life stories. And you can be done in less than 4.5 hours. Who couldn't use that?
In the time it takes to watch Death on the Nile and House of Gucci.
Exactly. In an airplane ride, if you're going across country. You can listen to a whole book. And a good book. And an inspiring book, and a book that will give you things to think about and warm your heart as you go through the triumphs of tragedies of these 2 guys. So I highly recommend it. It's a good read, and, you could probably fit it in your pocket if you're going someplace. Easily fits in your purse, I would guess.
Right.
These things are important, aren't they?
Very.
They're important to me. Mm-hmm. I don't have much time. I'll listen to your book, but how long is it now? Okay. But anyway, well worth it. for more than just its length, but its length is a nice bonus.
Right.
And that is it for another week of Parenting Roundabout. If you missed any of our earlier episodes this week, look them up on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts to hear our past discussions about career paths, work-life balance, and retirement with up-to-the-minute updates. You can also find all our episodes at parentingroundabout.com and talk back in the comments there on our Facebook page or on Twitter, where you'll find us at Roundabout Chat. And please visit our Amazon shop at amazon.com/shop/momitude, where you can find things to a lot of the things we talk about when I have time to update it, which is never. Have a great weekend and see you back here on Monday.